Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Soul Speak, the podcast for teens. I am your host, Emily Miller, Teen Intuitive. Okay, so we have been talking about the body and how it kind of like stores emotions and all of that. And couple of podcasts, I kept saying, okay, we're going to talk about emotions and what to do with them and how not to keep them stored in the body, how to move out of them, shift out of them whenever we're having these like negative emotional states that don't feel good. Well, today is the episode. We are going to talk about emotions on a very human level because that is what we are. We are human beings. And we are very emotional beings. And so, as long as you are living, you will be having emotions. And if we were to get into this like super high frequency way of dealing with emotions and feeling emotions, we would have a very balanced view on emotions. We would have this level of seeing and thinking and feeling about all things the way that like source sees them, or maybe other human beings who have been on this planet before that are in that same like source frequency energy would be Jesus Christ or Buddha or Mother Teresa, like those kinds of people. They see everything as perfect. They could see a murderer and understand like who they are, why they are the way that they are, find forgiveness in that person and see how they are still a perfect human being. And so if you are in that sort of state where you are able to find perfection in everything, then you are seeing this like beautiful balance of how one thing contains all of these different things. So it's not that one thing is good or one thing is bad or one emotion is good or one emotion is bad. You are able to see like the beauty and the destruction in every single thing on the planet, every rock, every human being. So until we get to that frequency where we are constantly able to find that more times than not. And then what we want to be able to do is to learn how to shift out of these like negative, heavy emotional states that aren't this feeling like how source and higher self want us to see things, to where we are constantly in this state of satisfaction and awe, where we're just like looking at the world around us and finding that it's just so perfect. And that's what we would ultimately want, but it's difficult to get there with the way that we have been kind of like programmed to think that as we are living these lives that we are going to be on these like emotional roller coasters. And that is not how we have to live life. That is just kind of how people will make you believe that that's how you have to be, that you aren't really in control of your life and your emotions. And that could not be further from the truth. There are so many ways to have this emotional control to stay in balance and live this really amazing life. So, the first thing that I just kind of want to remind you of, and we've talked about this in a few different episodes about the creator field and how our thoughts and our feelings and our beliefs about ourselves are what create the world around us. So when we have a negative emotion, or when we go out of balance, we'll call it like a negative emotion, you go out of balance, you go out of alignment, you go out of that perfectness state and thinking that something is like really, really bad or really, really good. These are times whenever you're out of balance. And so whenever we get to those states, what happens is it activates things within our being. It activates our emotions that we feel in our body, which then will activate your thoughts, the subconscious thoughts that you have. So those subconscious programs that are just running, it'll say, oh, I know that. And it'll pick up on it, and your brain will just kind of start taking off with that. It will also activate your conscious thoughts. So those ones that are in the forefront that we know, that we recognize, that we hear, see, whatever. And then it will also activate these emotional programs that we just have been running on within ourselves. So it will pick up on that emotion, and our, all of our stuff picks up on it, all of those things I just said. And then what it does is it radiates out into your creator field. And whenever your creator field is feeling these negative emotions, you've sent them out, and that's the energy that you're putting out. So we're putting out, let's say we are putting out loss, okay? And we just lost something. And so we have this emotion where we lost $100, let's say, because I would get pretty emotional about that. And so I lost $100, and now I'm out $100. And so now I'm just radiating loss. I've lost this money. I've lost this. And I don't know how to get out of this feeling of loss because I'm in this state where I'm feeling this heavy emotion. And so what I'm broadcasting out then is loss. And so all that the universe can give back to me then is more instances of loss. So more people, more places, more circumstances, more situations, more things in my body of loss, to where I'm feeling like I don't have the things that I need. And so when you're in a place like that, you don't want to get stuck in that, because then your body will just take over, your emotions will then take over, and then you'll stay in that, and then you'll be creating that. And we don't want to create that. We want to create that satisfaction, that awe, that perfectness. And so we don't have to stay stuck in those emotions. We don't have to keep those emotions even in our bodies. We want to be able to feel those emotions, acknowledge those emotions, and then let them go. Get them out of our bodies, get them out of our creator fields. We don't want those emotions stuck in there, creating things that are undesirable to us. So we normally will get, these, we kind of, like I just said earlier, be on this like emotional roller coaster where we're constantly given these ups and downs in life. And while a roller coaster is fun, I enjoy one every now and then. I don't want to be living on a roller coaster. I don't want that constant fear, elation, and then like you've got this fear as you're going up the roller coaster, and it's clicking, 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 and you're like, oh my God, what's happening next? What's gonna come next? And then you get to the top and you see, and then you're like, what am I doing? Why did I decide to do this? And then it takes off and zooms down the bottom, and now you've got this like elated emotion to where you're like, oh my God, this is so much fun. And then you see that this big loop's coming around, and you're like, you're just out of control. You're just going, and you're just taking off, and you don't know really what's going to come next. I don't want to live my daily life like that. Doing that every now and then for a 60-second ride, I'm cool with, but I'm not going to be living that way. That is, can you imagine the stress that puts on you and your body, living on that roller coaster and experiencing those stresses within your body and what it's feeling and what it's having to deal with, and that constant up and down and whipping around and upside down, like that's a lot of stuff. So we don't want our lives like just running wild, because while it's fun for a very short amount of time, it's not a sustainable way to live. You can't live your life whipping around all the time. It would be a very short life. So rather than having these like constant ups and downs, and I always say that it's like a artificial high and an artificial low. It's like a state where you're being like forced into these different things because of the laws of the universe. And so what comes into play whenever you're in these like high moments of high and then moments of low is you get to this high state, and because you're so out of balance, you're so much over here, and or you're so much down here, whatever your emotional state is that's not in that centered state, the universe is going to create situations and circumstances and people to knock you back down, because you can't stay up here. It's not sustainable. So the universe will then create these instances where if you are at this really high spot, it's going to knock you down and take you down so that you can try to come back into balance. It's trying to right you so that you can keep on your path forward. And so sometimes we pay attention to those and sometimes we don't. And sometimes we just completely are unaware that this is even going on, and we just think this is just how life is. I just have to live my life this way, which is where I lived my life for a very long time. So there's these artificial highs and lows that we get on, and so the universe will take you when you're in this state of like elation. So let's, whenever you're on the downward slide of the roller coaster and you're just like, your emotions are just so high, or like if it's at a time and place where, let's say you were trying out for something, you were trying out for a play, you were trying out for a team, you applied for a job, there's all these different things that you could have, and you get this high time where you're like, and you get the job, and or you get the role, you get the spot on the team, and now you are like riding high, you are up there, and you are like, yes, oh my God, I can't believe this. You want to run and tell the whole entire world, I did this, I was so amazing. And so then you feel good, you feel good, you feel good, and then all of a sudden, bam, you go walk in the front door of your house and your parents are on your case. Why didn't you clean your room? You were supposed to do the dishes. Is your homework done? Da 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 da. And you don't get to keep that really high emotional state, because it's just not a sustainable state. So the universe has to knock you down, and they will bring these things into your world to put you back in balance. So think about like times where you've had instances like this. I had this earlier, I think this was maybe a few months ago. I can't remember exactly what the circumstances were, but I think I was on a call with a client and I had like a really, really good read. I was like, oh my God, that was so good. I learned this with them and I taught them this and da 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 da. And then I walk out of my, this office area, and I walk out, and all of a sudden my kids are like animals. They're yelling at each other. They're fighting. Mom, they stole, Asher, my son stole this from me. Da 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 da. They're talking, my son, he stole this from me, or whatever. They're fighting back and forth. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what happens whenever you are in this too high of an emotional state. The universe is going to knock you down and give you a space where you have to like come down. And the same thing will happen too if you are in a really low place. So like if you are in a state of feeling depression, sad, sorry for yourself, whatever the things are, the universe will give you these things that are called like little pity compliments, because you can't stay down either. So you're not going to be able to be too high, and you're not going to be able to be low. The universe is going to give you these little tiny things, or sometimes they might be big things, but the universe will give you these things to where it will lift you up, because you can't stay down like that forever. So they'll give you these little things to lift you up. So a lot of times whenever you get these pity compliments, these pity situations, it will be things that you're going to be like surprised to hear, or surprised to get. Like you might be in this moment of where you're feeling really down, and then you walk into the building and you see your friend and they're like, oh my God, your hair looks so good today, that outfit, girl, like how did you pick that out, it looks so good. They'll like be building you up like this, and you're like, God, I didn't even like think about my outfit today. I didn't do my hair. It's dirty. It's in a knot on the top of my head. What are they talking about? And so that's a clue then that you'll see like it was a state that you were in so low that the universe had to give you something to lift you up out of it, because the universe doesn't want you to stay down like that either. So you've got these situations where the universe is always trying to like right you and put you on this like balanced path. And so you'll get these times where the universe is like throwing bombs at you to bring you down, or giving you these compliments that you don't even feel like you deserve or earned, or that they're even good for you. This might come through in situations with even like money. Like you could get like think about this, like lottery winners, okay? So the lottery winners, they get this big pity compliment from the universe, and they have this massive amount of money. But what happens whenever most people win the lottery? They're like broke and depressed and bankrupt, 5 years later, because they didn't know what to do with that money. They didn't know how to handle it. They weren't, emotionally ready for it. They weren't financially ready for it. So that's like a big example of the universe like bringing you up, and then they're so happy and so excited and elated to have this money, and then they're like, boom, sorry, we're going to take you right back down because you were really out of balance with this money. So that is kind of the way that a lot of people think that you have to live life, with these artificial highs and artificial lows, where the universe is taking you up and down and up and down, trying to get you onto a beautiful path of alignment. So whenever we have these emotions and stuff, most people don't really know what to do with them. So we're taught a lot of times to shove our emotions down, to not express them, to not get rid of them, or not even just acknowledge them. Like, think about my son plays baseball, and all the shirts are like, the moms are wearing these shirts and they say, there's no crying in baseball, like that. Or in sports, a lot of times, like boys especially are taught to not express their emotions and not feel sad, and that, boys can't cry or whatever. And that's just not good information. Like, we want to be able to get rid of our emotions. We want to be able to feel them and then release them. Another thing that people are kind of taught with emotions is that, like, even with good emotions, we shouldn't express those, because then what is that going to make other people feel like? Like, if we are too happy, is that going to make Sally across the street feel bad because she is in a really bad spot and we can't be happy because other people around us aren't happy? So that's another thing that we're kind of taught. And that's also wrong. Like, whenever we feel good, then our feelings are going to be the most dominant, and then other people can pick up on those feelings and it will raise them up. Like, feeling good and feeling happy, you should never feel ashamed to feel that. You should never feel like you can't feel good or can't feel happy. Like, that's the best thing that you can do for any human being around you, is to be rooted to your satisfaction and awe. Because if you are, then other people can see you being that way, and then you're their inspiration. If you're the most rooted to it, remember, the person that's the most rooted to their feelings is the one that everybody else is going to pick up on their emotions. So if you're really rooted to your happiness, to your satisfaction, to your feeling good, then other people are going to be like, oh, I can pick up on that emotion too. And then they start getting that feeling of, okay, happiness, goodness, satisfaction. Like, they get to have that, and they'll feel in their bodies that, and pick up on those memories and those subconscious thoughts of the happy and the good, and then it can lift them up. So it's never a bad thing to feel good, feel proud, feel happy of the things that you have and do and experience in life. So if you don't express your emotions, if you don't feel them, if you don't acknowledge them, then the body is going to hold on to them. We will store them in our physical bodies, and then we'll store them in our energetic bodies, and we keep them and we hold on to them, and we don't want to do that. Who wants to store anger over and over and over again in your body? You want to release it. You want to let go of it so that your body doesn't have to have the memory of that anger and that heaviness and that weight. So I want you to think about like animals and how like wild animals behave, and probably even your pets. Actually, I know your pets do this too. Think about, okay, so I just watched a video on this the other day, and there was this antelope. I think it was an antelope. Anyway, some sort of deerish looking animal. I think it was an antelope that escaped being attacked by a lion or tiger or something like that. And after the attack, I think it was playing dead is what happened, because the big cat just took off and left it. Well, all of a sudden, the antelope lays there for a minute, gets its bearings. So it's like, okay, what just happened to me? And then it just starts shaking. And it's shaking and releasing all of that fear, all of that like terror of thinking it was about to die in the mouth of this big cat that had it by the neck. And what happens is it released it. The animal stands up and then just walks away. It let go of all of that fear. And imagine if you were to hold on to all of that, which we do every single day. We hold on to fear and anxiety and all of these emotions, and we keep them in our body, and then we store them and we just keep replaying them over and over again. Instead, we should be like this antelope who just shook its whole entire body, got rid of the emotion, and carried on about its life. And then another thing that happens too, this is another example of animals, cats, whenever, like house cats, if they are playing with a toy and you're like shaking a little toy in front of them and they go try to pounce on it and they miss it, they will do the same sort of thing where they like shake their head or make like a little noise or move their shoulders. They'll move their bodies to release it. So they do that because they don't want to store that miss in their bodies. So if the cat, goes and pounces, they miss the toy, they shake it off, they get it out, then they aren't storing that memory of not getting the toy that they were playing with. So then the next time that they go to play, they are able to not register, I can't get the toy, I missed the toy. What they then register is a brand new fresh time where they're starting this thing, and then they get to pounce on it, and maybe they catch it, maybe they don't, maybe they shake it off, or maybe they're really happy that they got the toy. So we could take a really big page out of these animals books, because we are like animals at heart, and while we're way more sophisticated than them, we still need to shake off and get rid of our emotions. I had a, so we want to feel those emotions. We want to recognize them. And the first thing that we can do with recognizing those emotions is being able to name them. So I used to teach high school, and in one of my lessons that I would teach every single year, we did a lesson, because I taught child development, and so we had a lesson for toddlers, and and it was how we would teach toddlers how to recognize their emotions. And so every year we had this lesson, and I had a wheel of emotions, and it was fear, sadness, anger, surprise, disgust, and happiness. And I think I added love in there as well. And so I had this wheel of emotions, and my students, they would have to go in and list out different ways that they could experience those emotions. So how could you experience love? How could you experience sadness? How could you experience anger? And it was really hard for them to do more than like one or two things for each of those emotions when there are millions of things that happen every single day to each and every one of us that create emotions like that. And so we are not taught how to even name our emotions or even what all of the emotions are that exist within us as human beings, when that's like what our whole entire existence is based on, is our emotions. Our emotions are the things that steer us and guide us and lead us through this life. And it's the reason why we came here, to feel these emotions, to be able to learn things. So the first thing, the most important thing about emotions, aside from knowing that we're always going to have them, is being able to recognize them and name them. We want to be like, okay, I just, we'll go back to that story. I just lost $100. And so the emotion that I'm then feeling could be anger, because I had to go, I worked really hard to earn that $100 this weekend. And then, I had to go pay for gas, and now I have no gas. And so I'm really pissed that I don't have my gas money. Okay, feel that. Totally fine. Yeah, you should be mad that you lost $100, right? That is infuriating. It could be disgust. You're disgusted with yourself because you didn't, think, oh, I should have put that money in my wallet instead. I had it just laying in my wherever, and now it's gone. So there could be multiple different emotions that you feel for even just one circumstance, one thing that happens to you. So you want to be able to name them. And whenever you can recognize them and name them, it gives your brain something to focus on. It lets you kind of move out of that emotion. So feel it in your body, and you're like, yeah, okay, I'm pissed that I lost this money. And then, okay, now your brain it's giving it something to do, something to focus on, so it can kind of like start to let go of that emotion. Okay, so now I've got a name for it. So I recognize it. I know what it is. I know why I'm having it. I know what caused it. And then it's going to be able to help you start to shift out of that big emotional state that you are in. And it also allows you to realize, and one thing to think about too, is that anger, it's not going to like take you down. It's not going to end you. It's not going to be the end all be all of your day. You get mad at something, and then you can let it go. You can shift out of it. You can be, mad about it for a minute and then move on. Like go on to something else. We can easily control our emotions when we know what they are. If we don't know what's going on within us, then we're just at these emotions' mercy. Like we just are at the universe's hands of just saying, all right, let's go. Let's see what this ride is going to be like today. But instead, if you say like, yeah, okay, I'm going to acknowledge these emotions and understand what's going on, then you can start to have some control over them. You can't control something that you don't know what it is. So once you know what's going on, then you're able to have some authority over it, basically. So we can easily control these emotions. And again, we never ever want to ignore them. We never ever want to shove them down. We never ever want to have them stuck in our body. Our body needs to process them and to feel them. So we can recognize that we're having the emotions, acknowledge them by naming them, and then we need to feel them in our body, like feel them so that we can release them. People have lots of different ways to release different emotions. So, like, what is your initial thought that you have whenever you have this emotion? So let's say you lost the $100 and you're mad, you're mad, and then your body, what does it want to do? Check in with it and be like, how did it feel? Did it want to scream at the top of its lungs and be like, I just lost this $100, and yell and scream? Or did you want to like start punching things? Did you want to like take it out physically like that? Did you feel like you wanted to like be like that antelope and that cat and shake it off? Like, what did you feel like in your body you wanted to do to like release this emotion, to get rid of it, to get it out of you? And while some of these emotions might seem like crazy to do because it's not in our society today, it's not acceptable to just, stand in your hallway at school and scream because you lost $100. That's probably not the most acceptable thing to do. But there are different ways that you can do things. So sometimes we might have to wait a minute to release the emotion. If you're standing in the hall and you feel like you want to punch something, you can't just like punch a kid that's walking beside you. You'd get ISS and you'd get in trouble. So that's not acceptable. But if you recognize, okay, I wanted to physically get this out of my body, you could wait until you got home. You could go into the bathroom and you could just like close the bathroom stall and move your body in there to get these emotions out. You could, whenever you get home, if you felt like you wanted to scream in a pillow. You could go sit in a car, close the door, and scream at the top of your lungs and release these emotions. Get them out. We never, ever, ever want to keep them in the body. So think about what is the first initial thing that you wanted to do. You can also exercise. Like, whenever we're in that fight or flight situation and some people want to punch, they want to scream. Other people might want to run. They might want to like run and release that energy out of their body that way. So go on a run, go on a walk, go outside, take deep breaths. Another really good thing is feeling it in your body and having it like collect and then breathing it out. Pulling up all that energy and then releasing it. There's a lot of different ways to release your emotions. So those are just kind of some that are top of mind, but there's a full process that I have to like go through to release these emotions. And you know how at the top of the episode we were just talking about how we want to ultimately have that source view of things. It's not really good to go straight from that high emotion to then, or the low, low, low emotion, to go straight into the source view of it, because you're skipping that part of releasing the emotion. We want to be able to release it and let it go before we step into that. And the big thing about the release of the emotion is it takes like a minute, 2 minutes max to let it out of your body. You don't have to hang on to that loud scream, the punching, the breathing. It takes seconds. That's it, to be done with it. And so with that realization of just, feeling the emotion, recognizing it, acknowledging it, and releasing it, you've got this whole process to where these emotions don't have to be stuck within you anymore. So this week, what I want for you to do is just notice your emotions. How are you feeling throughout the day? And notice if you are on that roller coaster and see if it's something you are ready to get off of. So acknowledge the emotions, name them, feel them, and then release them. Don't keep them in your body. Let them go, let them go, let them go. We don't want to have them. And then last thing I wanted to say was just to remember, if you would like to be on the email list for our exclusive live events that we are going to be having, webinars where I'll be teaching things like this emotional release, some energy work, and all sorts of fun like insider things. You guys will be able to ask questions there, and it'll just be fun. So make sure you use the link in the show notes to sign up for the email list. and have a gorgeous, gorgeous week.